Peter Obi, by his own admission in 2019, and I think I referenced it, he couldn't cite any major development in his state where he presided for 8 years. He said he brought order. He brought civility. And then when they asked what order, he said he accompanies with jerry cans. He run after his aides. He mustn't buy beyond 5 liters. Again, he said he couldn't trust any of his aides to advise him on security or advise him on the affairs of the nation. He had to rely on the counsel from a madman. The Yorubas say, when a madman goes away with your clothes, and then you begin to struggle and argue with him, passers-by won't be able to tell the difference. You are naked. He is mad. And they see you having interaction. Both of you are most likely mad. The man who takes counsel from a madman, and he himself who values the counsel of a lunatic, they are most likely both insane. And we cannot have an insane person in office. And his insanity begins to show in this country. We do not know that there are mental challenges in degrees. Not everybody will tear their clothes. Some mad people look sane at first instance until they begin to speak. Recently, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, I've written elaborate articles on it where he said Abacha. He considers Abacha of a better Democrats than those that actually fought for the Nanadeco activists that demanded and fought, risked their lives for democracy. He said Abacha was a better person. He branded Abacha as savior. And those activists that demanded democracy, the same democracy he is fighting and struggling to preside over now. He said those ones are the villains. Abacha was the hero. And I cited how Abacha wasted Ken Saro Wiwa just for demanding that, look, the people of Ogoni, the little town that bats the milk and honey for which this country survives, the oil, which is our lifeblood, the very oxygen of this nation. The oil, but the extraction of that oil, the mining of that oil in that locality have polluted the water. Ogoni people, by ancestral vocation, are fishermen. They are farmers. They can no longer fish because the oil has polluted the waters. They can't farm because the oil has polluted the soil. Ken Saro Wiwa merely demanded not for them to stop exploration. He said, no, my people deserve to survive. They roped him with trumped-up charges of murder, and evidence pointed to the fact that none of the 9 were present at the scene. We watch law series, don't we? Are you not supposed to have motive, opportunity, and I think there are 3. But remember, motive, opportunity, and one more. Then the murder weapon. Are you not supposed to have those? Trumped-up charges. They killed Ken Saro Wiwa. Death was not enough. Abacha declared that his body and the rest of the Ogoni 9 be dissolved in acid. They do not even have a burial site. The family is thrown to perpetual and eternal agony. Peter said, look, the one who was responsible for that assassination is the hero. Ken Saro Wiwa and his useless cause can go to hell. I pointed to the death of Kudirat Abiola on Okwebi, the same Okwebi where we are very familiar with, where he was shot, assassinated. Those that perpetrated confessed at Opota panel. So we are not making up gist here. There are no rumors, there are not beer parlor talks here. Obi declared Abacha, saying, look, we understand that Kudi may have, she shouldn't have demanded for democracy. She should have, the moment they seized the MKO, she should have just enjoyed and said, perhaps remarry. After all, he said he wouldn't mind. He doesn't care if his wife cheats. So Kudi should just have moved on. We mentioned Alfred Rewane, who was killed in his house. We mentioned, the names are endless. And that is aside nameless journalists, activists that were killed in their homes, killed at works. He grounded the first estate of the realm, which is the media. There was no freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You had no voice, and everyone whose voice was becoming loud enough was silenced. Ashwaju merely escaped murder by the whiskers. In the dead of the night, dressed either in a turban or I think he got, by his own confession, he got the clothes from, was it Doyen Abiola, and escaped via the Benin route. How many was die? The likes of Tinubu, Wole Soyinka, they were in the trenches funding the struggle for democracy from diaspora. And there were some that remained, the Ganifa enemies of this world, but they barely slept during that time. This idiot declared Abacha the hero. So either he's being sadistically mischievous, or the insanity traits which he confessed he communes with mad people is beginning to manifest. That's what I remember of him. I remember him of Soludo confirming to us that under his tenure, Anambra's poverty rate doubled, 54%. That's what I remember him. I remember him as that after his tenure as governor, he couldn't even stay in Anambra. Today, before Tinubu became president, only Tinubu stayed amongst them, of course, only Tinubu stayed in the state he governed. Any festival, don't see Tinubu return to Lagos. Because if you have governed, if you have done a good job for 8 years, it should be able, where you govern should be suitable, should be habitable, should be comfortable for you. It's the only one that he stays in Lagos. His children, according to him, his daughter works in Lagos, the son, wherever. Atiku stays in Dubai. Only Tinubu stays in Lagos. That's what I remember him as. You get the point? So, then we have Kwakwanso.